This is the Embrilliance Embroidery software main screen, and I wanted to show you how you can create scanned images into an applique embroidery file using Embrilliance Stitch Artist 2. If you have Embrilliance Stitch Artist, you'll have this icon right here that looks like a pointer with some threads right there. And when you click on this to create, you get a sub menu right here. If you only have Stitch Artist 1, you'll see over here in this lower menu, you'll see image and true type font that sits right about here. If you have Stitch Artist 2, it contains all of the tools that are in Stitch Artist 1, but you also get this button right here that says Vector, and that's a graphic. So I'm going to click on Vector. I am working right now on the Gnome for the Holidays bench pillow, and I need to put together the little sled with the Christmas tree on it. So I have all of my scanned images. These are the FCM files that are created by the brother ScanNCut. I scanned in the paper pattern into the brother ScanNCut. I'm going to click open because I'm going to do the sled. And the sled that I need is this one right here. This is the other sled. I'm going to come over here to the objects panel and click the plus sign to open it up so you can see all of the elements that make up this vector graphic. And I am just going to click on this one and delete it by hitting delete on my keyboard. So I made that one go away. I need to rotate my hoop because it's going to be a little bit bigger than the way it is here. The easiest way to do that in Embrilliance is up here in the top menu. There is a yellow button, and that's for preferences. I'm going to click on it. When it comes up automatically when you click that, the first one is environment, and then the first section under environment is hoops, and that is usually the default of what comes up when you click the preferences. So I am using the 240 by 360 hoop on my multi-needle, and you can scroll all up and down these. You can change the format if you have a different machine than a brother. You want to choose the format extension that your embroidery machine uses. Your most common hoop sizes will come up when you do that. So the easiest way to change this, right here, there's a box that says rotate 90. I'm going to check that and click apply. There we go. Click OK and get out of that. And I need to bring in the trees now. And I'm going to come back up here and click vector. And I'm going to scroll down till I find my trees. There they are. There's the 4 pieces that made up the trees. I'm going to click open. Now the bottom one, this one right here, is not needed. On the pattern, the largest one is not in use. So you can click on the line that selects it. I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard. And I'm going to use the middle one now. I need to put the middle one on top of this one. This is piece number 2, piece number 3, piece number 4. Over here in the objects panel, we can see this is actually like a stitch order. This is going to stitch last. I don't want that. I want it to stitch before the top. So I will just right click on this and click move earlier. There. Now it's going to stitch in the right order. To move these vector graphics, you can just grab the green box with the little hand. A hand comes up. And I am just going to use this rotation handle right here and rotate it. I'm looking right here to make sure that these points on the lower piece are covered. And then I'm going to go down here to this one and I'm going to rotate it and grab the green box, pull it up here and cover the top points of that one. That looks really good. Now I'm going to click on over here in the objects panel. I'm going to click this one, hold down the shift key and click the last one. That selects the first, the last, and everything in between. And you can see now it has highlighted them all into a single element there. I'm just going to grab this and move it down here. And then I'm going to rotate it till it's at the angle that I want. And there. Now I've got the tree loaded on the sled. To turn this into an applique file, you want to highlight the whole thing, and you can do that by clicking on the upper sleds.fcm right up here. That selects the sled and all of the tree elements. And in this submenu, kind of right under this Create Designs button, there's one that looks like a blanket stitch, and that's for applique. I'm going to click that. And there you go. So now, let me Control Z. I want to show you. Control Z to undo. So look here in this properties box, okay? It looks like we have one color, black, and that's it. But when I Control A to select all, and I come back up here to the Applique button, look what happened. We have Applique Position, which is the placement line. So the embroidery machine will stitch the placement line for the sled, because the sled goes down first. This is going to stitch first. You can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So the sled is going to stitch first, and then it'll do the blanket stitch. And then the placement line for the large base of the tree, there's the blanket stitch, okay? I also want you to notice too, there is no tack down stitch in this process. So we have placement line, it says applique position, and then we have, this is the final blanket stitch. Placement, blanket stitch, placement, blanket stitch. So if you are not going to pre-cut your pieces, this is where you would want to use your needle plus minus button. You would do your placement stitch, and when the machine stops, you'll lay your fabric square over the placement stitch, completely covering it. Then you want to use the needle plus minus button and go back and stitch it again on top of your fabric. And then when it stops, you'd pull the hoop, trim the fabric away from the applique, and then you would put the hoop back in the machine, and then you would stitch the final blanket stitch. So this process is really conducive to cutting your applique first using a cutting machine. Now, if you want to do that, what you can do is on the position stitch, you can click it. And when you click it, you get a dialog box that says thread, and there's color and applique. You can click on the applique tab, and right here it says cutting and inflate. The default is 1.5 millimeters. I like 1.0. You can use whatever you want. And all you have to do is click save. And look, it's going to save it into a scalable vector graphic, an SVG cut file. And so I would call this sled. And when I hit save, it's going to save as an SVG. And then you click OK, and you click OK. Then you can take that SVG file on a USB over to your cutting machine, or if you're connected to the internet with your cutting machine, you can upload it to your machine's cloud and then back down, and then you can cut your files that way. And the beauty of that is you're going to make sure, because the SVG was created from this exact design, it's going to fit perfect every single time. Now, the sled is kind of small. I'm going to scroll in a little bit here. It's a real skinny piece of fabric, and it looks like my stitches are kind of touching each other. And what you can do, I just clicked off on the screen right here, you can click the individual element itself, and up pops some top stitch options right here. Now, here is where you can change your border. Do you want it, they call it an E-stitch, we call it a blanket stitch. You can click this and you can do a satin, a zigzag, whatever you like. This is for your tie off and tie in. And then this one right here is if you wanted to create your own style and do some styling with it. And it's just on normal. I don't fiddle with that. That's above my pay grade. So on stitch length 2.5, that's a little long. So I'm going to drop this down to 2.0 on my keyboard and hit enter. And that looks a lot better. And then my width is at 4. I'm going to put it at 3. and hit enter. And now look, this looks so much better. And look how clean that looks now. So if you have smaller pieces, you can definitely fiddle with that and make that work. This is such a great option if you're doing embroidery applique, because going around the inside of this piece right here and these little bitty curves, I want a machine to do that all day long. So this is just really a nice way to do this. Now, because I've got my hoop set, I'm going to scroll back on my mouse wheel. I'm going to go ahead and click the whole thing, and I'm going to move this over. And now I need to add my lantern. So I am just going to make sure I'm clicked on this button. If you're not clicked on this button, so I'm going to click over here like on the regular pointer and see my menu changes, my sub-menu changes. This is the sub-menu that you get in Embrilliance Essentials, except for the vacuum cleaner. You don't get that one. So I'm going to click back on my Create Stitches, and I'm going to click the vector again, and I need to get my lantern. There we go. That's the lantern. And I'm going to click open, and let me move. Let me do this. Oh, I don't know if I can move. So I'm going to highlight this, take my shift key, hold that down, click this, and I'm just going to move these guys out of the way. Okay. My lantern needs to be put in such a way that this is the yellow square. I need to get that kind of straighter than it looks, right? And I'm going to put the yellow square down. And then I'm going to take the outside of the lantern. Whoop. Let me get, okay, so this guy has a bunch of different pieces that looks like different shapes. Is that it? No, that's not it. So you kind of got to poke around a little bit. Which one is this one? That's the inside of the lantern. Okay, so I want that one, and this one. Now they're all together, and I'm going to move them over. So when you're playing with graphics, it can get a little hairy. Okay, and this guy right here goes right there. So yeah, we'll see how this stitches out. Now these need to, they are the cross members in the glass. So I'm going to take this and put it right here. I want to make sure it doesn't stick out of the edges. Let me scroll in so I can see what I'm doing. And this, I'm going to turn this a little bit. I'm making sure that this little part right here and this little part right here is not sticking out. I don't want those seen. So let me get this one. I'm going to rotate it. And I want this one to go right here. Scroll, rotate it so that it's corner to corner. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I can see that the lantern itself is going to cover the ends of those cross members. This guy right here, I want to move up so that it looks like it stitches in. Okay, that looks really good. Now these need to go, I'm going to hold down my control key and click the first one and the second one. And I'm going to grab on the picture, not on the word, grab the picture, and I'm going to drag it up right over the one I want it to stitch after. So I want the yellow box to stitch first. Let go of that. So now it's going to stitch the yellow box, which looks like it's lit up from the inside, and then a cross member, outline, inside hole, and then there's the glass. And then this, I guess I want that to stitch like right after that. I'm in a drawing mode. If I was to use my pointer right here, I could highlight all of these. That's why when you're in this mode, you need to use your objects panel to choose your elements of design. So I clicked the first one, held down the shift key, and clicked the last one. And now I'm going to come over here to the applique and let's click it and see what we get. That looks pretty good. Now, look at this. So this is backwards right here. These stitches are stitching to this direction, instead of in here. And this is a very, very tiny piece. To fix that, and you find this sometimes, that's why I went ahead and did this, so you can get an idea of things, what happens and how you can fix it. What you have to do is you have to open this element. I am going to click off and I'm going to move this guy. I'm totally fine with these stitching inward like this, but these, I don't want to stitch that direction. You have to come up to create, outline, and then reverse points. That's how you do that, okay? Now this thing is a tiny, tiny, skinny piece. So I'm going to come back up and put this right back here where it goes. Okay, so I'm going to go here and stitch length. I want this to be like 1.5. And instead of 4, I'm going to tell it 3. That looks pretty good for that piece. Okay, so now let's go to the next one. Okay, I want this to be 1.5, enter, and I'm going to go 2, enter. There, see, now it looks like a blanket stitch. Let's go to the next one. Okay, 1.5, enter, 2, enter. Perfect. Okay, and the next one, that's the whole outline. 2.5 is fine for my width. I'm just going to drop it to 3. That looks pretty good. Maybe I just need to go to 2.0. That looks even better. Okay, I like that. And then this one, let's go to 2.5. Better. Okay. And this one here, we're going to 2.0 and 3. That looks good. And then this applique, that is stitching the wrong direction as well. Okay, zoom in here. This is the glass window, supposedly outside stitching. So this has got to go the other direction. You have to open the shape. And to do that, while it is highlighted, we're going to come to create, outline, and we're going to open outline. And then you come down here where you've got the red and the green, tie in and tie off. You can grab it and open it a little bit like that. Okay, see how I opened it up? Now you want to, again, make sure it's highlighted. You want to create, outline, reverse points, and it did it. And then you need to come back down here, grab this point and drag it back right there. And we will 2.0 and make it small and 3 and enter. And that looks great. Okay. Scrolling out here. This looks really good. Now, the beautiful thing about Embrilliance, if you have a Brother or a Baby Lock machine that is wireless, I have the Brother PR1055. That's what I'm doing these on. In the Embrilliance platform, there's a utility. You can come up to the utility menu. And this says send to Solaris XP1, which is the single needle embroidery machine. However, the same technology is used for the Brother and Baby Lock machines that are Wi-Fi capable. So this doesn't say I can send it to the PR1055. And in fact, when I click the button, I'm just gonna, I called it sled tree dash lantern. I'm gonna tell it okay. And it's going to throw an error message. It says, error sending file, please try again. I'm going to click OK. But when I go to the machine and look in the wireless area to retrieve a design, this will be there. I've been doing it all day long. So that's really a neat feature if you've got one of those wireless machines, and you can now use Embrilliance to send it to those machines. This also works. I've got a Brother NQ3700D single needle embroidery machine, and it works on that one as well. So you don't necessarily have to use the Brother Design Database Transfer in order to do that. You can do it all in one spot in Embrilliance on the Embrilliance platform. So again, if you have a Mac and you can't use the Paste Setter, Simply Applique, or BES4, or maybe you already have Embrilliance Essentials and you just want to expand your skills a little bit because you like it and you're familiar with it, then Stitch Artist 2 may be exactly what you're looking for. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to be able to create your own applique designs, this is Stitch Artist 2. I've got a link to it below the video. I'd appreciate it if you'd use that. We will talk to you soon. You guys go sew something. Bye.